Hello and welcome! We're finally ready to start. This is so exciting. I am so ready for today. It's gonna be so much fun. This is, as you can see up here, this is Uppsala Young Champions 2021 and we are currently in round 6. It's so great to see all of you there in the chat. I see Jongjun, of course, I see Screws, I see Robson, and then I see Nasari or Moin. So, hello, this is my name. It's Ellen, and I have something in my eye, as always. I'm not gonna cry, don't worry, it's fine. Okay, there we go. So, I hope that you are ready for today. We are gonna be here for whenever the games they finish. So they started around 2 hours ago at 4 p.m. CEST, but there is a 15-minute delay on most of these games, which means on all of the games. So yes, I will be reading the chat while I look at the games. So please, if you have any insights, any questions, then please do let me know. Then we can try to see if we can understand the games together. And I can see there already are some results here, actually quite a few. So let's try to take some of them. On board 2, the previous winner of the Uppsala Young Champion Sim Van Dahl, who played these, can we say weird openings? He won his game against FM Gustav Törgren, and when I say weird openings, it's because he played G3, H3, H4, A3, A4. So there was a lot of not so standard chess opening moves, but let's try to see the game here. And I'm not the biggest e4 specialist, but I actually do know that this opening is called the Scotch, and here if you play with bishop c4, it is called the Scotch Gambit, and I know a little bit about this one, but that's not because of my e4 knowledge. So this is a main line. Here, if white decides to take on c6, then bishop c5 threatens mate in 1 on f2, and then afterwards black will take the knight. But instead, Sim here played c3, so that now when they get this position right here, he has a stronger center, with these two pawns taking up quite a lot of space. A check arrived, and I actually have to say, I'm not super impressed by this move, knight takes d4, because I feel that it only strengthens white's pawn center. The reason for taking this knight should be because you feel that the center is going to be unstable here, but I don't think it's very unstable here. White has very easy and nice development, for example, on these squares or on other squares. White is very flexible here. And knight c3 just blocking the check, knight e7, bishop e2. I think white is already better here, and it is because of the pawns in the center. Both players having played quite quickly until this point, so it could be some theory, but once again, I don't like this. Now, oh, this is a strange move. So not only in this position does white have a tremendous pawn center, but now black also gives away the bishop pair and strengthens white's pawn center. There's no way I believe this can be good. So d5 trying to attack in the center, but putting this this pawn forward, getting some more space in the center, attacking the queen, and now a nice developing square for the bishop. King h1. Okay, that's interesting. King h1 is like I guess he wants to play f4, f5, and he just gets the king out of the way so that there are no bishop h3s or anything. And oof. Oof, 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 oof. This was a quick win for Sim. Gustav already resigned from this position now. A great game by Sim. But also not too impressive by Gustav. Unfortunately, these things, they happen sometimes where you're under a lot of pressure and things, they don't just click for you and everything. So yeah, it doesn't wait, what did I say? Sometimes I get confused. Oh, also, I forgot to add leashes to the title. Typical me. Can I even remember how to change it? Oh, I'm so happy that we have Screws and Akyat here. Because I know if I say the word, please, that I hope that they will change it. Okay. So, unfortunately, these things, they happen sometimes. I guess Gustav, he just wasn't in the game today. Wasn't feeling it. And that's unfortunate, of course. But a great game by Sim nevertheless, and thank you, Screws. Now, if we take another one of the games that have finished, we have Matthias Uneland against Jung Hyun Seo, the little brother of Jung Min Seo, who is right now playing on board 1. Let's also take this game, but a little bit quicker than we took the last one. Here we have a Queen's Gambit declined. Black decided not to take this pawn on c4, playing with b6. This is some fairly normal stuff. And now we have arrived at a position, I believe. This is some theoretical line where there's a check here and the king has to go to e2. I'm not sure if this is still theory, but I have seen something like this before, but more when the bishop is on f1. Not too sure. At least White decided to attack these two pawns at the same time, and now bishop b4 came and the king went to f1. Okay, so this is a little bit different than what I knew with king e2. Instead, the king went to f1. I'm not sure where I prefer the king, because from f1 we don't have the rooks looking at each other, and I don't quite see how you're gonna get it into safety or get the rooks connected. Then you'd have to play something like h3. Okay, let's say black makes a weird move here. Okay, h6, just protect the pawn. And then to get this king to safety, you'd have to play maybe h3, king g1, king h2, because g3 would blunder this knight here on f3. The bishop and the queen, they're very strong on this diagonal right here. So I might prefer king e2 just to keep the rooks connected, but I could understand why you wouldn't want to have your king here in the center. h6 did come on the board, and e4. Okay, e4 does kick away the queen. Queen d7, and then white snapped the pawn. Just a nice little snack there on c7. So now we have to ask ourselves, what kind of compensation does black have in this position? And I believe it should be something related to the king on f1. But if it's related to the king on f1, this is actually this is very important. I don't have my alert box showing right now, and for that I am sorry. But thank you, Screws, really appreciate it. Yeah, I believe it has to do something. It has to do something with the king on f1, and when the king is on f1, what you have here is that you have some sort of dynamic advantage, because the rooks aren't connected, the king is a little bit unsafe, and when you have a dynamic advantage, you need to use it quickly, because the dynamic advantage can disappear. Like in this position, when first the king gets to safety and the rook gets connected, the dynamic advantage will disappear, and the compensation you have for this pawn might not be very much. So I can see why not play a move like knight c6 here, attack immediately in the center. And if white plays a move like king e2, Then you can kick away the bishop moves, and then bring the other rook to the file. Really try to get the optimal out of all of your pieces, because instead black played this rook to c8, and now these pieces are left a little bit in the corner, bishop f4, and you could still develop this knight, but if you try to compare this rook on c8 with what we had before, where the rook on a8 was on c8 and the rook on f8 was on d8, I believe this is a better version, and I'm not very happy about this for black. g5 trying to get some space, but also weakening some of the squares a little bit, and now the bishops, they're standing well here, also protecting in the center. A trade of bishops, and h4 trying to undermine these pawns here on the king side. Rook c2 trying to bring the rook into the attack. White took a pawn, and okay, so this square is protected. Let's see what would happen if you had taken the pawn instead. Oh, maybe you can't protect from this mate actually, because this threatens mate in 1 with rook h8, and it doesn't matter if you move the king. And now with rook f to c8, if bishop f6 would be terrible. It's not a terrible mistake. Wait, I don't understand what happens. Oh, jack and king e2. This was forced mate. Oh my goodness. Okay, he could have made it, but this seems, to be fair, this seems like way more complications, many more complications that it should be. He didn't play bishop f6, he played rook h3 instead. Where's the mate? Bishop f6, rook c1, and king e2. I'm threatening checkmate here. And yeah, the king is going to f4. I might not even be going to f4. I don't see how you're gonna... What is black going to do here? How are you gonna get that king attacked? So... I mean checkmate on the black king. Maybe that's where... No, that was where the confusion was. I meant checkmating the black king, yeah. But it might just be too much calculation for a position that doesn't really need it. He played rook h3 instead. Bishop f8, bishop f6, and now there's no rook h1 hanging ever. Bishop g7, rook g3, just trying to win the bishop-ish. A check, a trade, king e2, and okay, then Jung-Hyun actually almost let Matthias mate here, because after king g4, rook h4 would be checkmate on the board. Okay, great game by Matthias. We have another win. This one is for Milton. And Milton a bit further down on the boards than what I was actually... what is it called? Expecting. There we are. Milton a bit further down on the boards than I was actually expecting, but he did win this game against Skålberg. I don't know which one is the first name. Bjarknes Lima de Faria Vark Skålberg. That's a very multinational name, I'd say. Here we see... So black tried to go for some dragon, accelerated dragon, I think they're called, and white playing c3. It should be illegal to have more than 50 characters in a full name. This is a very long full name. Imagine that you have to try to spell this out every time and in your passport, and oof. And then you have to say which one is my middle name, and there are just 5 different names, and this is a lot, yeah? Probably this is some kind of theory. is my guess. But I can see, because the game has finished, there's some engine evaluations for me that I can try to read off. And here it says that black is almost lost. I see some weak squares. I see some very, very nice center for white here after d4, which was what he played. Oh, knight g5 though. Trying to checkmate e6. So Milton's idea was to weaken the dark squares, and knight e4, you know, try to really get in more. And if taking here, I think this would be one of the best Smith-Morra gambits I have seen in my entire life. And I have seen quite a few of them. So knight e4, bishop e7. Though the good thing that I just thought of, the good thing about this name is that when people, they have to find you in the database, or if they have to find you anywhere else, it's gonna be such a struggle for them. Each and every single person who has to look you up, impossible. And you're just sitting there and trying to find your opponent's games, and you just can't, because you can't find your way around the name. Quite clever, I'd say. It's like people who change their names, then somehow, if you want to find the games from their previous names, then you have to search for that name. The games, they don't get transferred and stuff. So just a little trick. Okay, but bishop e7, and here he had bishop h6, I think, trying to just prevent black from castling, and then it's very, very tough to see how black develops. But knight a3, he's going for some more of this, which is also very understandable. Probably black should have castled, because otherwise that king is just not getting into safety. And after knight c6, Milton, he did play bishop h6. Knight takes e5. It seems like it's a double pawn sacrifice, but bishop g7 attacks both the rook and the knight. Black tried to say, okay, I will play f6, and then I will trap your bishop here on h8 so that it's only an exchange. But after these moves, this terrible. What a great position Milton he had already. Just bringing the knight into just bringing the knight into the game. Oh, my arrows, they're not working with me. This bishop on c8 is not a French bishop though, because we'd have the pawn on d5 and we'd be able to get it developed to d7. Just saying, okay? Just saying. Yeah. So knight b5, d5. Now it is a French bishop. h4. Oh, I was really hoping for rook h3 there, but e5 was actually taking away the square. So not possible. e5 takes, knight takes, queen e3, looking for queen g5 and a little pretty skewer there. And we did see it on the board. So great game by Milton. I really enjoyed watching that one. There you can really see why it's important to get all your pieces developed in the opening, and why you should try to not weaken yourself too much. Even though I can see here that the computer disagreed of two of Milton's moves. His moves, they made so much sense, especially this knight g5. The computer says it throws away some of the advantage, but I mean e6, playing this in a classical game is so incredibly difficult, because all the dark squares are just weakened, and I think this was a great game. We have more results. We have a draw between Leo Krevetin and Ludwig Karlsson, both Swedish juniors, very strong, both of them. Oh my goodness. This is an opening for Twitch. All the Twitch people who are sitting out here watching this game will go like, hey, let's go, Albins. And in classical games, this opening is not, well, this opening is frowned upon. This opening is absolutely frowned upon, but Ludwig, he's just saying, you know what? I don't care. I'm playing this anyway. And then this 97. I don't know if anyone remembers this, but I remember this. Okay, so let's go back to the World Cup 2021, which was won by young Krzysztof, or however people they say his name, Duda. But I am not talking about the open section. I'm talking about the women's section. Because in the semifinals, we did have, I think it was one of the Musicuk sisters. I'm pretty sure. I can't exactly remember who, but I think it was one of the Musicuk sisters who was in a must-win situation in the semi-final, and it was Armageddon. So she, no, it wasn't Armageddon. I think it was it a classical game? I can't remember. You think it was Anna? It could have been Anna. And she played, firstly she played this Albans, and the commentators were going like, poof, okay, playing the Albans. And then she played this 97 and they go like, poof, playing the Albans, which is a bad opening, and then you don't even play the main line and make the opening even worse. So so this is just to say, especially this 97 is not something which people they like very much. Especially, but you know, sometimes these things they work out. We saw some opening moves here, and this position isn't by far as bad as the one she got. I'm trying to look in the opening book here, but it's not showing me any games. But did she play d4 first though? Was it like this? That she played it? No. Okay, so it's not in the lead. I'm just trying to find out if I... Wow, Magnus playing this against Tang in some games. Okay, anyway, not so important. The game is finished. But I have to say, this position is not nearly as bad as the one she got in the World Cup, Anna, probably. And now, screws, thank you. I appreciate it very much. And I'm sorry that I don't have the alert box on. But yes, this is me working. Oh yeah, okay, great. So we will get, now I shouldn't try to trash talk too much, because we will get one of the players, even Ludwig or Leo, or both of them. Yeah, I think we'll get both of them. To take us through this game, and I really want to ask Ludwig what went through his mind playing this opening. So I think we will get them now. We can just and then I will just go back, and they can try to explain, take me through some of the lines and everything. It will be very interesting. Okay. So here I'm in Danish we call it a pause fish. I'm the posh fish right now. Posh? I'm a posh fish. No, I'm a pause fish. Not posh. Okay. They've left me. Hello? Is there anybody out there? Sorry. I think we will get them in 10 seconds. And if they're not here within 10 seconds, then I will be sad. So we will see if they will make me sad. I don't think they want to make me sad though. It's not like them to upset me. Well, I'm officially upset. then we can just, you know, go through the game. They might be able to hear me. I think they are lazy. Goodness me. Or shy. I know. Okay, Leo, get over here. Leo is playing games with me. I know he wants to. I know Leo wants to. He is just playing games. I also want to hear his thoughts on this opening. I think I'm convincing him. If I'm not, then it's very sad. So yeah. And also Soras, thank you so much. Once again, sorry for the no alert box. I will personally... Okay, I'll text Leo. No, I won't. I'll text Leo after the stream and I'll say, Leo, I'm very disappointed in you. Very, very disappointed in you. I will tell him this. For sure. And he'll be like, sorry. And then I'll say, not good enough. So yeah. He's left me alone. This is my sad face. Okay, I don't think we'll get him. You know what? It's fine. I can continue with myself. I have great company in Twitch chat. I don't need Leo or anybody else. I'll just text him after the stream. Say I'm disappointed. And I'll also... Wait, give me a second. Okay, there we are. Good. Never make me sad, I agree. So, this position, as said before, wasn't nearly as bad as the one Musichuk got. And now Ludwig even got the pawn back on a2. He seems like, from the time he spent here, it seems like he could very much still be in prep. No, it wasn't him I texted. It was... Yeah, never mind. Okay, so this position seems completely fine for black. White has an extra pawn in the center, but black's pieces are working very well together. So h6 trying to play g5, get the bishop out here, attack here in the center. So h4 trying to stop black's plan. I have to say I prefer black a little bit here, but I don't quite understand a6. What is a6? a6 might just be to stop this. That's extremely deep, if that's how it is. a6, wow, that's nice. That is nice. Okay, rook fc1. I still prefer black. Very, very nice development. Can this knight jump somewhere nice? Okay, not this. Oops. Is this an option? Knight d6. Check. Nope. Pawn 6, then you're protecting this one. Okay, Ellen is fresh. He played knight a5 instead. That's probably a little bit better. Takes, takes. So now there are a few different attacks going on here. And b6, what happens if this? Now where does this knight go? Rook. Goodness me. It's clear that I haven't looked at chess for a long time. Okay, so the rook has to move now. Let's say the rook goes to a4 just to attack this knight, and knight d5, also looking at the bishop. I can't see why he wouldn't play this instead. b6 might be a bit too creative. Oh my. Okay, so he did just bring the rook back to a1, and then maybe there wasn't too much of a difference. The computer I can see here is giving this as the move. And I mean, this makes great sense, yeah? So it's an exchange for a pawn and a bishop pair. And the knight can come to c6 and look at all these squares around the king. Sometimes it can be very difficult to sacrifice the exchange, and especially when there aren't queens on the board. A concession like this is a lot, sacrificing the exchange, because you feel that if you're in an endgame, then being the exchange down cannot be good for you. But this is actually not true, because this is a positional exchange sacrifice. You're gonna get this square on c6, and this pawn on a6 is weak. Maybe black would have to play a move like bishop d5, bishop d2, and then the black pieces are very loose. So that was probably a great option, she can say, while also seeing that that is what the engine gives. As balanced though, but a little bit better for white. Yeah, it is very difficult to understand and to get a proper sense of when the compensation is enough. A rule I heard once from someone who have this in mind, please, for someone who really liked exchange sacrifices, he said that if you can get a pawn for the exchange, you just go for it. And of course, this is not true, but it is actually true that very often, if you have a pawn for the exchange, then it's not that bad, because, you know, minor pieces, they can be quite strong in certain positions. And it's also important to notice, for example, in Danish, the name for an exchange sacrifice is equality. We actually call it equality, and this name is so misleading, because just the name makes it feel much bigger than it is. But in English, it's actually just called an exchange. Like it's an exchange of pieces. So of course, one of the pieces can be a little bit better than the other, but usually if you get this extra pawn or something else, then it can be enough compensation. And then what I can otherwise recommend is that you look through games where these exchange sacrifices, they happen. Because the good thing about being up an exchange is that you can eventually sacrifice it back. And this is something which happens very often also. A person who was great with exchange sacrifices was the former world champion Tigran Petrosian. So if you're looking for some great exchange sacrifice games, then definitely go through his games. Okay, but the game developed here, and Leo, you make me happy. Okay, we got the exchange sacrifice after all. Now I'm even more gonna text him and be like, yo, buddy, how can you not come on stream after making an exchange sacrifice like this? Oh my goodness. Okay, but he took on c5, takes back, and rook takes a5. Now also with pressure on c5. This exchange sacrifice might be even better than the one we were looking at before. That was a great move. Bishop d5. Now he got the second pawn. It's not just one pawn, it's two pawns. Bishop f3. Bishop b4. So he doesn't have the bishop pair though, which is a difference. He can't take on f3 because the bishop on d2 is hanging. So take on b4, rook d1 check, king h2, and a trade. And now this endgame, and there's just no way that white is ever worse. No way. So yeah, because black just doesn't have enough pawns. And h5, world-class move, just fixing these pawns on dark squares. Also, see the reason why Ludwig, he played rook g8, let's say he played here, then e6 would be very strong, just snapping off the pawns right here, and probably king e6 would be able to get met by, oh, but then there's rook d6. Okay, but I mean, this should be enough because this one is also hanging. So he actually probably had to play rook g8 and h5. Now the rook on g8 can't leave. Rook c1, rook c4, rook c2. And this is a great position. Oh my goodness, no. No! No! Now I can understand why he didn't want to come in for an interview. No! No, 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 no. No, Leo. Don't get scared. Just keep on playing the position. Take the pawn. I mean, it's 2 pawns for the exchange. I don't even know how you recapture here. If you take with the rook, it's more active, but you have a weak pawn on h6. And if you take with the pawn, then the rook is more passive, and white also has these pawns in the center. I mean, you can never be worse with white here. Oh, this is actually such a shame. He could have played this one for a long time, but okay, a threefold repetition turned into a draw. Now we've looked at quite a few games. Oops, that one also finished. Now we looked at quite a few games which have already finished, but let's try to look at some live games. Okay. What's written on my mug? Berlin. I bought this mug when I was in Berlin. That's why it's written on there. Let me just try to fix my camera so that I look a bit more sharp. Of course, I am always sharp, but now it's a bit more. Okay. Let's see. We have this game between I am Vignir Vatnar Stefansson and Jungmin Seo. So both of these youngsters, remember, this is actually a youth tournament only for people under 20. So all these people participating here, incredibly strong and very young also. And Vignir and Jungmin, they are no exception to this. Both IMs. I'm very jealous, of course. And what's going on in this game? I have no clue. But I will just take a quick look at the standings, because this is indeed board 1. Board 1 of the tournament. So my guess is that they both have quite a few points, and I will take a look. Okay, so currently Jungmin is on 4 points and Vignir is on 4 points also. I can see that right now when I go and check out the results, if you want to check them out, then I've just dropped a link in the chat. Then Sim and Aryan Golami, he beat Victoria Radeva, and they're both on 4.5, or they're on 4.5 and 5 points, but they have also played 6 games. So Jungmin and Vignir, they can both catch up to Sim, who's on 5 points. Hilmir also on 4 points currently with only 5 games played, so we should take a look at his game afterwards also. Now, oops, we have this position on the board. I have no clue how they got here. Sorry. Hiccups, they haven't gone away. Jungmin is the Swedish Ellen. What? I don't get it. Okay. Ah, the exchange Slav. We love it. We love to see it. Let's just take the moves very quickly. Okay, this is a theoretical variation. I believe they usually play bishop d7 here. I might be wrong. Okay, this is not so theoretical, but I believe I've seen bishop d7 before. Could be in another position. You know, I don't remember my theory very well. But either way, knight c6 was played, and there was a threefold repetition, I believe. Okay, so 1, 2, no. Okay, so let's try 1, 2, no threefold repetition. Even I have to count. It's very, very difficult sometimes. But here, Vignir, he said, no draw can do knight f3 and b5. queen had to retreat. You don't want to go to b3 here, as knight a5 would land with authority on the board. So instead the queen went to d1, e6 was played as short castles and development. So now usually what you get in the exchange slot is the bishop on f5 would be inside this pawn chain, but now the bishop has actually made it outside the pawn chain. Knight e5, and Jung-min decided this knight was incredibly annoying. Why though? Let's imagine a move like this. A little trick. I just want to show this. I know I'm blundering this knight, I know, so it's not a blunder if I say that I did it on purpose. This knight takes f7 is a theme that I think you should really try to remember here when the connection between the queen and the bishop has been lost, when there isn't any connection, disconnection, you know. Knight takes f7, there is nothing black can do here other than to take the knight, because it is attacking the queen, it is attacking the rook, and it is attacking the bishop. Usually this happens when one person is castled. So you wouldn't be attacking the rook, but that doesn't matter because you are attacking the queen and you are attacking the bishop. So here black would be forced to capture, after which white wins a pawn, besides the knight that they could win on c6. But try to remember that one. That is a very good one. I've won a classical game on it before. Or maybe I was the one who lost. I don't know, but I had a classical game finished because of this. Many years ago, yeah. And Jung-min decided that the knight was annoying. Taking with the... Yeah, so Wigner, he didn't want to give away the bishop pair. I assume this was something which could have happened if bishop takes e5. But Wigner, he took with the pawn instead. The knight went to d7, putting some pressure on this pawn. So e4, opening up in the center when the king is still there. This is getting very sharp. Takes, and queen d6. So this has been a pawn sacrifice so far by Wigner. There are some dark squares, so far black cannot castle, not only blundering the knight once again, but because it is simply not allowed to castle over a square which is protected. So instead this knight went to d8, protecting this knight, trying to exchange his queen, bringing a piece into play, takes, and rook takes d6. So white did sacrifice this pawn here on e4, but very active pieces and a bishop pair. Very interesting position. Also this knight needs to move before this knight can move. If black had played knight d7 here, then the knight on c6 would be hanging. Not pawn takes d6. No, I'm not the biggest fan of this move because of king d7 probably. If this knight could manage to get to c5 somehow, then it could be fine, but I don't think it will. Probably f3 would be... Nope. This would be a big issue. Big issue. So what would f3 be met by? Takes. I just think... Oh, e5. Yep. And then the king can come this way. I think this is the way to go. Because this pawn is becoming more of a weakness than it is a strength. It's very well blockaded by many pieces here, and I don't... Well, knight d5 though. Very risky to take with the pawn. In my... I wouldn't take with the pawn either. Okay, so Wigner said, you are more than welcome to be that one pawn up, because look at my pieces here. To even protect the knight on c6, black would need to play this rook to c8, but after rook a to d1, black is in serious trouble here, I think. A rook could come to d8 soon, or taking, and rook d8 or knight e4 landing on the board. This is very difficult, and you can never play b4 because this knight is just joining the attack. So Jungmin said, I don't want any of that. Knight e7, you can get the pawn back that you sacrificed. Vignir said, okay. He didn't take with the knight, which is a little bit interesting. This would have been very interesting. So now if bishop takes, pawn takes, they have the same position, just with the knight on c3 traded for the bishop on f5. The difference here is that white has 2 bishops against the 2 knights, but white is also lacking this knight, and maybe he wanted to use the knight for something else, which was why he didn't want to take with the knight, because otherwise I guess you'd prefer... Maybe he didn't take with the knight because he wanted to keep control over the d5 square, even though it meant that he'd get a double pawn in the center, and also, as Akyat is writing in the chat, closing down that bishop on g6, which can do absolutely nothing in this position. So this harmony between the black pieces, I now understand the move, and I now like it very much. And also, as you see, Akyat writing in the chat, saying something about the position. Please do this. Please, let's analyze together. This is always a lot of fun. Also, if you have any questions about the positions or what is happening, or if there's a specific game that you want to see, I see that many games are ending right now, so let's try to go a bit quicker, bit quicker through this game. I'm not sure what a3 is about though, because I've said many times that black does not want to play beef. I know. Was this his genius plan? Was this his... Could be, but he didn't play it. He never played knight a2. He just played a3. No. No. Then why did you play knight... Ah. No. Was it because you wanted to stop knight b4? Ah, this is insane. Okay, so they played quite a few moves. The knight went to b7. Okay. So this is actually known as the worst square on the board for the knight. One of the worst squares on the board. Of course, a knight on the rim is dim. But if you're not having your knight on the rim, then these 4 squares are incredibly sad to have your knight on, because the flexibility of the knight is very limited. And of course the knight can go to a whole 4 squares, but on these squares it's so easy for the knight to get trapped or to not coordinate with other pieces, especially in the exact endgame of rook versus knight. If you have the knight on this square, probably lost. Otherwise, you should be able to hold it a draw if you remember to keep the knight close to the king. You guess b4 and bishop takes e4 was kind of a threat. See, they do have reasons why they play the moves that they do. b4, let's say white makes a sad move, and bishop takes e4 could be very annoying. Now black will be able to develop somehow. Great spot, a3. That was a great move. Okay, let's speed ahead. Vroom, she goes. Aha! Once again, Vignir with the no draw. But was this actually a threefold? 1, 2, 3. One, 2, 3. Okay. This is a classic case of one of two things. Either 1, Jung-jun. No. Either 1, Jung-min Seo. Oops. Didn't know the rules. about claiming the draw. He could have either done it the wrong way, in which case he is not allowed or not able to claim the draw, or 2, he didn't know that it's the same position 3 times and that it doesn't have to be the same moves 3 times in a row. That is one of the options. Well, there are actually 3 options then. The second option was that he didn't think Vignir would do something else so that they would just agree to the draw. Third option is that he did this completely on purpose, because sometimes you're sitting there and you're kind of hoping that your opponent is not... And of course, then before I continue my thought, Lula Robs, thank you so much for the raid. Hello and welcome, raiders. We are right now during commentary of Uppsala Young Champions 2021. A tournament in Sweden consisting completely of youngsters under 20, and we are looking at the game between 2 potential leaders of the tournament. I am Vignir and I am Jung. They are both very, very strong players, of course, and we are just talking a bit about some rules of claiming a draw in classical games. So the third option was that Jungmin, he did this on purpose, because sometimes you're sitting and you're repeating moves and you don't really want to be the person to claim the draw, because you're kind of hoping that your opponent will keep on playing. If you don't claim the draw and you're like, okay, but if they play another move, then I'm more happy with my position and I prefer that to getting the draw, so they will have to claim the draw if they really want it. Or you think, but they can't do anything either way because it will only worsen their position. So, you know, if they want to go for that, they can go for that. And Jungmin, he didn't claim a draw here, and Vignir, he said, okay, I'm happy you didn't claim a draw because I didn't want it anyway. So yeah, rook d4 landed on the board. Oh, this is so interesting. Knight c6. Ooh, so we're getting into something really tense here. Knight, because the rook is trapped. The rook can't go anywhere, so this could also be why Jungmin, he didn't claim the draw, because he thought, okay, you know, if you play something else, I will trap your rook, so you have to go back to b6. And then Vignir said, no. How much time did he spend? Okay, so he spent 18 minutes on making the move rook d6 the third time. And then he went to d4. And after knight c6, trapping the rook, knight takes b5. Pawn takes b5, bishop takes b5. This is a pin. Knight d8, a4. Vignir just saying, I am giving away that piece for the 2 pawns, and they are rolling down the board. Rook c8, rook c4. Another pin. Pin it to win it. This is what we usually say. Also, let's just quickly go through the rules of how you actually claim a draw in a classical game by 3-fold repetition, because this is actually very important. Many people, they don't know it, and then they would do it the wrong way. So let's say we have this position, and Jungmin, or whoever it is, now I'm black, I'd love a draw against Vignir, so I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, okay, I want the draw. I know that after I play knight b7 now, we will have had the same position 3 times. How do I claim the draw? The thing I do, and this is very important, you do not make your move on the board. If you make your move on the board, then the draw claim doesn't count. Then you simply just cannot do it. What you do is that, firstly, you write your move down. You say, I'm going to play knight b7, so you write it on the score sheet. Second, you stop the clock. Now the clock isn't running anymore. Third, yo, arbiter, please come over here. Well, actually, you go over to the arbiter because you don't disturb the other players. So You find the arbiter, you make them come over, and you say, now I'm going to play this move. That's going to be the third time we've had this position, and I claim a draw by threefold repetition. So one of two things can happen. One, your opponent, the arbiter will look at your score sheet, will look at your opponent, say, do you agree? And if the opponent says yes, then you shake hands and it's a draw. Maybe you don't shake hands, who knows, Corona. And the other thing that can happen is that your opponent can say, no, I do not agree. So if your opponent does not agree, then what you will do is that you will take your score sheets, you will go to another board, preferably outside the playing hall so that you don't disturb the other players. Then you're gonna go through the game together, and then you're gonna point out the threefold. If it is indeed a threefold, then you get the draw. If it is not a threefold and you've actually been wrong, then what will happen is that your draw claim will count as a draw offer instead. So if you're wrong, it's like offering a draw. But sometimes you will also get a penalty. I actually can't remember if you get a penalty. You might get a little bit of time deficit, or your opponent will have some time added, I think 2 minutes approximately. So yeah, that was quickly how it went. Rook d7, a5, and rook b8. If Vignir would be the one who wants a draw, he can't do it after knight b7 immediately. He has to write down rook b6 and call the arbiter. Yes, he can't just stop the clock and say, now we've had the same position 3 times. He will stop the clock and then, no, he will write down his move, stop the clock, get the arbiter. Another important thing is that the draw offer doesn't count if, and this is gonna, I don't know if I say this incorrectly, but if something about the position, some options in the position has changed. And this means that if there was the option of, for example, en passant on one of the moves, then a threefold isn't enough, because then your opponent had the option to do something else. There was a very famous incident once where in a high level game, then one of the players could do en passant on the first move, but because en passant is only something you can do on the first move, they did threefold. One of the players did actually not want the draw, but the arbiter said, okay, it's a draw. And then it was only after that they realized that the en passant rule had been possible, so it was actually not a draw. It's the same with castling. If you can castle on the first move, then this is a very specific case though about castling, because it's tough to really think of a time where this could be possible. But then if you can castle on the first move and you can't castle on the other moves, then you need to do it an extra time actually. So yeah, now we talked a lot about claiming a draw and how you do, but this is very important if you want to play tournament chess, because if you play enough games, you are for sure going to get into this situation at one point. So you definitely want to know this rule. And now I spent quite a bit of time explaining it, but it's important. So yeah, no regrets. Hashtag and coffee. I don't know if the first case was a Kramnik game. I actually don't know who the players were. I've just been told what happened. Okay, with king e7. This position is so interesting. Imagine being Vignir. Oof, you do not want the draw. And important also, they do not get extra time after move 40. So the time you see here on their clocks, that is the time they have, plus a 30-second increment after each game. So while they play a few more moves, let's go and take another game. My nose is itchy, I'm so sorry. Let's take... Oh yeah, I said we would take the game of Hilmir, but I can see that Hilmir actually lost. to Edwin Trost, a very promising young Swedish player. So Hilmir here playing a Catalan. So, well, now it's not a Catalan, now it's a Fianchetto against the King's Indian. And this is the main line. H3, rook b8, bishop e3. This position has been played many times before. Knight e5, attacking the c4 pawn, so b3. c5, knight e2. So what usually happens here, this rook b8 is a little bit funny. When I've seen this line, it's been with the knight on c6. So let's say knight c6. Now see, I can't quite remember, but it's no, I'm thinking of something completely different. I'm thinking about this. No? What am I thinking about? Because there's some knight a5. Okay, let's say rook e1, knight a5, b3, c5. This is one variation. And then there's a rook b8 and a quick b5. Yeah, it could be with oh yeah, d5, knight a5. This is the one. And this is actually a trick, because here then there is no knight e4. Because knight takes e4 takes here, and then bishop d2 attacks both the knight and the bishop here on a1. This is a very important line of the variation. This does not work for black. This is just winning for white, actually. So it's important to remember that you cannot win an exchange with knight e4 here. But he played something completely different. He played why did we move our clocks back? I actually didn't even notice that we had moved our clocks back already. But we got an extra hour of sleep, didn't we? And I was still so incredibly tired when I woke up. But never mind. He played another variation here with knight bd7. This is something completely else than I was talking about. But once again, I usually have seen this a6 rook b8 with the knight on c6, not with the knight on d7. So I'm a bit unsure, but it seems like he's getting a lot of space now, and also time on the clock is looking good. Also, we see that Hilmir has spent quite a bit of time in this exact position, or up until this point, which probably means that this was some preparation by Edwin. And I can understand why Hilmir, he got confused, because this is not the normal stuff. Can you ask a chess question? Always. So Hilmir, he snagged a pawn. But here apparently he made a mistake. Oh my goodness. This was a mistake. This is so difficult to see. Apparently you have to play knight 6 c3. And the knight is trapped after g4. Oh, but this is insane, no? And also the fact that you will actually have to take... Okay, I mean, this could look quite nice for white. But, I mean, this is just insane, yeah? Because this... Now the... What is going on here? Queen d1, rook e6. I'm not even going to go into detail because I have no clue what's going on. Queen e7, king f2. And now he could have played knight f6, just trying to bring the knight into the attack. And this one is probably not really hanging, is my guess. Okay, but instead queen f6 was a blunder. And here... Hilmir could have played bishop d5, not that I understand any of this, but queen d5, queen e7, rook c2. And now another blunder. Knight f6 was a genius move, attacking the queen once again, bringing the knight into play. But rook d6 instead. Here, rook takes c3 was the money move. with rook takes d5, rook takes e3, and then you'd get the rook back afterwards. This is insane. Rook takes c3, money move, and if takes here, then I guess you take back with the knight, because you're attacking the queen, and if takes, then this one is protected plenty, and this is a winning position for white. So yeah, after this, black would have to play here. My goodness. Okay. Rook d6, queen g5, and then finally knight f6 landed on the board. Rook takes c3 now happened. Aha. Oh yeah, this one is protected. I was about to go, but it is protected. So rook e6 is a money move. What a paid actor moves. Oh, also Hilmir with 5 minutes against 1 hour. That's a great spot. I didn't even notice. Oh my goodness. And this was a very, very difficult position. Of course, black should try to refrain from this. My guess is that this is lost for black, but Edwin, he didn't fall into these small tricks. King takes g7, also protecting this one. Now there's the pin along the e file, and after he had to play king f1 to protect the knight, but bishop f5, bringing all the pieces into the, I would say attack, but I really wanted to say bringing all the pieces to the party. This is how we do. So bishop f5, great move, king f2, and then the check. The check. Ooh. Great stuff. So the bishop had to take, queen takes, g4, rook f3. Look at this. Oh. This is a check also. So you can't take this one. Insane. And now rook f2 and rook g2, king h4, f6 with resignation. As, let's say, this queen moves, there is a check and there is a mate. Oh my goodness. My eye is itching. But what a finish! What a finish by Edwin. I think, when's he from? He's like a little kid. He is actually a little kid as far as I remember. I will just look him up because I might be wrong. That's not how you spell toast. There we go. Edwin is from 2007. This guy is 14. Oh my goodness. If I could play this chess when I was 14. Wow. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Also, let's say I played this tournament last year and Edwin did beat me. So of course I have to give him quite a lot of credit because of course he's very strong. Yeah. Strong guy that Edwin. Very strong. He can beat Hilmir, he can beat me. There's no one he can't beat by the age of 14. So yeah. Let's take a look at another game which is currently going. We can take the game between Matthias, Lynn, Shelton, and Hampus. My goodness. Some incredible chess that we're seeing. Okay, we're just gonna take this position. I'm trying to think. I have a hiccup coming. Oh my god, no, never mind. I thought I had a genius idea. So the rook is attacked. Oh my god. And I have another hiccup. Nope, I don't have another hiccup. Okay. The rook should move. Let's say the rook goes here. Did I just trap the rook? Oh my god. H6 actually traps the rook? Is there anything white can do here to untrap the rookie rook? There's not even a check. All the squares are protected. Okay, so let's say the rook goes to f2. Oh, but then this check is looking deadly. King has to go to h2. And queen g3. King goes here. Ah, can I find it? Bishop h1. No. My point was this. Check here and mate. But instead, I think you can do this. Oh, take on e5. Okay. Yeah. No! You can't take on e5. Check. Here and check. Yeah. Rook takes e5 is not possible. Okay, so let's see. Let's continue this line. King f2, queen g3, king h1. And this didn't work because of here. Is my evaluation. Now f3. If we can get this in, it's great. But this might be a problem. Maybe. Because this... Oh, there's still a check here. And then we can pick up the pawn. Okay. Probably not. Probably f3 is a bit too much. But probably we can just take this one, no? And we're threatening to move the bishop somewhere. And it should be some kind of checkmate. This and checkmate on h1 is a threat. Let's say stupid move. Check. King has to move. And mate. Okay. If queen f3, then queen f3, bishop g2. Oh wait, did I blunder? Huh? Didn't I show that line? With f3, queen h6, king f7, here, queen h5. I think that's another check. Oh, king e7. But, Okay. But I think that's too much calculation than what is needed. Because queen takes h4. Shouldn't this just be ending the game? Also rook h2. No. Well, no, this one. This one. Because takes, there's takes. And here. We go here. Great move. Ah, there's still this one. But we go here. Ah, queen d7. Okay, I'm having too much fun. I'm having too much fun. Okay. Rook f2, I don't like. But what else is white going to play in this position? Hampus with only 1 minute though. Yeah, it's probably too much calculation. I think I was having too much fun, to be honest. But where's... Okay. I don't see how white is going to defend here. I mean, of course you can leave the rook on g2. But if you leave the rook, let's say you go rook f1, trying to kick the queen away. Firstly, you don't have to take this rook on g2. But let's say even if you do, these two pawns are just too much. You play king e4, you push and you win. And I think it's that simple. So yeah, I think this is just winning for black. I'd love to see how they got here. But there are a lot of games still going. So let's take one of them here. We have Jakub against Hugo. Hugo. And this position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5 versus 4. White a pawn down. But white is able to take a pawn. Little bit of a better pawn structure. Probably white is a little bit better. Feels like black has to be better. Yeah, not sure. I take this pawn. Of course there are these. But let's say I take this one. I'm a bit afraid of f4. Because takes would be met by this. And takes here would be met by this. I believe. So, and also the black pawn structure is not very good. So let's say I go here. The problem for white is this position is that the pieces, they seem a little bit stuck. We need to find a way to activate them. For example, if we could get the queen in here, like queen f2 and queen up, but then the bishop is hanging. So we need to move the bishop somewhere first. But let's say we move the bishop to a square. Okay, black makes a move. King f6, trying to take back the pawn. So let's say white makes a move. Then now if you move it here, this pawn is hanging more. And if you move it here, well then you're allowing these pieces a bit more freedom, it seems. Firstly, probably this one is hanging as well. So gf5, king f6. gf5, king f6. Well, what do you do? E4. Need to get the queens off? I'm not sure. The general rule for trading queens says that if you have the more safe king, then you don't want to trade queens because you want to keep the queen as an attacking piece. And if you have the less safe king, then you want to trade queens because you don't want to get attacked by your opponent's queen. And it seems like white has the more safe king in this position. So I'm not sure white wants to trade queens, but the good thing about trading queens here could be that it might allow black less counterplay, and white would be able to attack these pawns more freely without black's queen roaming around being annoying. And then we'd be able to bring the king in on some of the weak squares. So trading the queens is a good question, if we should do that or not. White is still currently thinking in this position, down to 9 minutes. I can't quite see here. F4 was suggested. Aha, attacking this one. So now if takes, trade, then there's something hanging here. Okay, that makes sense. So after F4, can we do something else, like bringing in the knight? Okay, the danger about bringing in the knight is the comparison of these pieces. So this is probably just lost. So what do we do after F4 instead? Maybe we play H4. But still, okay, whenever we want to take this pawn, then the queen can get into the attack quite quickly. So maybe F4 is a really, really strong move. Yeah. So maybe not King F6 because F4 is annoying. But if you can't play F4, then you might just have a terrible position. I'm not using an engine, by the way. Not using an engine. But F4 does seem to be a good move. To be able to bring the queen out quickly in case of some trades and stuff. I want to see what has happened in the Viknir Jungmin game. We left it here, rook b8. So now the bishop is attacked and the pawn is hanging right behind it here. If takes, that wouldn't improve the position because b5 here And you don't have other ways of protecting the pawn here on b4. So instead Vikingur went bishop a4. The king moved so as to attack this pawn, and once again this, oops, this is not possible. Takes though. He didn't want the piece back. Nicola, thank you so much. I don't have my alert box on right now on purpose because this is official work. But thank you so much, really, really appreciate it. He didn't want it back. I don't understand. If he was really creative, he could even do this. Just to keep the bishop locked. Now it can't take this one. Oh, but maybe it can now. Maybe you could go here first. I don't know. He played a6 and rook takes b4. If he takes now, it's a transposition. And you can never do anything like this. Because the pawn endgame should always be winning for black. This is no counterplay. Knight c6. Rook c6, rook b4, rook c7, king e8. Should be a tough draw, yeah. But I mean, why allow this? Wait, takes. Okay. So maybe this was what he missed. That he's no longer protecting the e4 pawn. If he plays a7 immediately, then he can give a check. Is this what he saw? Okay, wait, moves. A lot of moves have been made. Oh my goodness. Okay, he did play. Okay, I'm so slow. He did play a7. Rook b1. Oops. Rook c1. Takes. Bishop e4. Rook b4. Bishop c6. Bishop here. Takes. Rook d1. Oh, but this should be a win. Check! And if check... Ah, then king d7. Okay. But was it necessary to play rook c1? I'm just wondering if this is an easier win. Because I'm not sure the other one is necessarily an easy one. Rook c1. Is this? Oh my goodness. Okay, that's sick though. Bishop a3, checkmate. Wow. That is really pretty, isn't it? Oh, I enjoy that checkmate. Okay. So that was why he didn't take on c1, but I'm wondering if this was somehow easier. It's equal material, but bishop pair. Oh wait, it's not equal material. It's not equal material. Okay. So yeah, what he did. Here, takes. Now he's an exchange up for a pawn, another exchange. And these pieces are coordinated. This knight is not working. Could he have tried? No, then it can get to c6. The pieces are coordinated, uncoordinated nevertheless. Bishop c6, bishop a7. He's trying to use this, but ended up giving the bishop pair away. So bishop takes a7, bishop d1, attacking the pawn on h5. Bishop c5 came as we also looked at. The king went to e8. This was probably the best because after rook d8, then king b7. And we are up to date with the players. Now, bishop f8 is a possible move. And after takes, you are going to get the pawn on... Wait. Maybe you don't take the pawn on h5. Okay, you go here, though. Yeah. He did play bishop f8. Bishop f8 is on the board. This... then you take and you get this one. And knight c6 can always be met by this, protecting the pawn on e5. Is this a win or a draw? Win? Practical chances for sure. Objective? Not so sure. I'm tempted to check, but I'm not gonna check. Looks like a draw. I'm not so sure. And the reason why I'm not so sure this looks like a draw is because of the weak dark squares. I mean, it's almost somehow that black is getting mated. Not now, but in some years, black could be getting mated in this position just by using the bishop, the rook, and this pawn on e5. After rook b7, rook b7, king e8, bishop f6. Rook b7 could be good. Also, even if you don't do any bishop f6, if you just want to protect this pawn so that you can take this one, then let's just say that you protect it to take this one next time. Then the king is on a worse square than it was if you went rook b5 immediately. So rook b7 is probably a good technique, getting the king to a worse square on the back rank, and rook b7 is also played. The king went to c8 and rook b5. So Vignir is showing some IM technique. He is getting an extra 30 seconds on the clock, as Akit also points out, and he forces the king to go from bishop e2. Okay, but rook c5. The king moves. We take this one. Wait, let's say the king goes here though. We take this one. King goes here. Then this. Bishop moves. Bishop moves again, and then we can protect the pawn. So rook c5. Great technique. It is not losing the pawn on c5. Rook c5 is played. Okay. Can we just talk about all the way back to this position where Vignir chose to go for this piece sacrifice? And of course he can't calculate this to the end. So he played this based on calculation and intuition. Going for this by intuitive means, he spent a lot of time on it, but I think this shows great fighting spirit. Rook c5, king d7, bishop takes h6, and bishop d3. This is the current position. I think this is winning for white because of the weak dark squares. I don't think there's any fortress here for black. That is what I'm feeling. Bishop g5, also just taking away more dark squares. Yeah, great position. And still, you know, white is also not running any risks in this position, which means that he can just keep on playing, and even though he doesn't have much time, it's not the biggest issue for him because he can play some moves, gain some extra time, think in his opponent's time, and yeah. Also, let me just point out, I was showing this variation with King B7, but of course he should only go for this if he feels that he wins the pawn on E5 by force. Because if he's not winning the pawn on E5 by force, then the king is just cut off from the rest of the game, and it's definitely a loss then. Is there a potential fortress? No clue. Not analyzing with an engine here, so I have no clue, but my guess is still no. So, yeah. Bishop takes e7 should make it easier. Probably. Probably you can do like this. King moves. Not there. King moves, and you bring the king. And then, in the end, you'll either... I'll just show something. Okay. So now you have the option to take whatever you want here at some point, and there's just nothing that black can do. Aha, interesting though. Vignir here did not take the knight. He went king f2, bishop g6, and now he has the option to take the knight again. But the difference from before is that now the king can go to d8, but it shouldn't make a difference. Why moving bishop while the king can go to g7 and stop white from advancing to f6? Good point. Good point. So if the king goes that way, then we go this way. And then at some point I'm going to play check. I'm not going to get myself mated. I'm going to play check. And I'm going to go here. And... is this a fortress? Aha! Pretty. Wait, can I do this more clever? Okay, I'm gonna play here. Just to show it. Cute! Cute! Okay, this is nice. Anyway, he still did not take. I can understand why you would be scared there is some fortress. It seems that you have great control here. The knight went to d5, the king went to d4. Now, do not take this one. Very important. We don't want any opposite colored bishop endgames like this. Please do not do this to yourself. Okay. Oh, we have a lot of results. Actually, only 3 games remaining. Leeches, thank you so much for the raid. Hello and welcome, raiders. It is great to see you. Currently, we are doing commentary on the 6th round of Uppsala Young Champions 2021. And we're looking at some incredible chess here, it seems. Also, who was streaming for Leeches? Oh, was it John? Was it John who was doing Leeches plays? Because Oh, it was Andrew. Okay, that's so nice. So, hello and welcome everyone. I think compared to what you're probably seeing with Andrew, we're taking a bit more slowly here because you can do Ultra Bullet, but right now we are watching classical chess. This is the Uppsala Young Champions, which is being played in Sweden right now, and it is only for youngsters. Classical game in Sweden, only for youngsters. And Vignir and Jungmin Seo, they are... I think Vignir is from 2003, Jungmin 2001, 2002, around that time. We have been looking at this game for quite a bit of time, so let's try to switch over. We were looking at this game between Jakub and Hugo. I like to say Hugo like that. And I was saying g takes f5, but he did go for g takes h5 instead. So the queen went to c8. Maybe he's looking for some f4. I was thinking about f4 immediately. And why he didn't play this. How young do you have to be a youngster? I think the junior definition is 20 years or younger. So I'm from 2001, which means that this is my last year as a junior. So I was thinking a bit about f4 in this position with the point that takes. But queen c8 was played instead. Queen g8, okay, trying to bring the queen into the attack. This seems very efficient. This reminds me of Fabiano Caruana playing queen c8 in the US Championships against Alexander Lenderman, I think, winning his 11th round game and tying for first getting into the playoffs. This queen c8 reminds me a bit of that. And now the queen came to g5. White won the pawn on b4, but black got some activity. Black wasn't quite looking for a perpetual because probably it's just not there. But f4 is still lurking. So the queen went to e5, king c2, king e7, queen c5, a check, and knight e2. I don't love what black has done here. I mean, you can take the pawn on h5. And this one is hanging, but queen takes d5, and this one is hanging. This one is protected. I don't love it. Black just lost the b4 pawn, no? I don't know why he didn't go for f4. What did I miss? Can someone tell me what I missed after f4? Because I wasn't quite sure. Feels like coming home. Well, the threat of f4, it's not so much a threat as it is saying, what are you going to play? And I'm not too sure. Also getting rid of one of the isolated pawns, trying to break off some of white's structure. Don't know if it's weakening the king a little bit. But we actually did see queen h5, queen d5. I don't like this. I think white is winning now. I'm not sure why I was winning after f4. I think there were better practical chances. And I should say once again that I am not using an engine, so I don't know the correct evaluation of this. Queen f7, trying to exchange queens. I'm actually not Swedish. I am Danish. Very close to the... I'm not going to say very close to Swedish because no, I'm not very close to Swedish. But living close to Sweden, nevertheless. It takes me 45 minutes to get to Malmö from here. Personal experience says. Seems like white didn't need to trade queens. No. But let's be fair. The players, they are playing with leaving the stream then. Okay. I see. So yeah, they are not playing with a lot of time. There is no extra time added, and I do believe that this should be over. This and the Vignir game are actually the last 2 games running. Let's see what Vignir managed to do here. Knight d5, king e5. This was where we left it. They maneuvered a bit around. This bishop went to f6, what I liked. Maybe this is an option. But he went back to d4. I have said that there is no fortress in this position, and I still believe in my theory about there not being a fortress. We can see that the king is slowly starting to enter on the dark squares. And taking this pawn a check, you can't go here because king b6 would win the knight on c7. So instead the king would have to go back. Let's say the king went to c8, then okay, I mean you could take here. This should be a win, and if king e8, then this should also be mating very, very soon. And Marepen, thank you so much, appreciated. So what to do here? Rook a7 is a huge threat in the position. Knight c7 immediately maybe, but what happens after the rook goes to b6? If the king moves back, ooh! Yeah, not possible. So what do we do instead? What do we do instead? Here, maybe. And then bring the bishop to d6 instead. And yes, of course, so huge congratulations. Wow, he did play bishop takes g2. Young Min. I mean, come on, you have 21 minutes on your clock. Is this me who's missing everything, or is king d6 a win? Yeah, Uppsala is the name of a city in Sweden. His point is, oh! No. Oh, but no. No. Can you just start with a move like this then? But maybe here. Aha! Of course he calculates. Well, he is an IM after all. But I mean, I'm perplexed. I don't know. King e8, rook a8, king d7, rook a7. Okay, Vignir gaining some more time on the clock. To think. King f8? Oh goodness. Dangerous stuff. But yeah, probably. Maybe. So he's getting some more time on the clock. King e8 is played. And now he has to play another move. Okay, let's look at this variation. King d6 takes. Now this is not a checkmate. The time control is 1 hour 30 plus 30 seconds per move, so they are not getting any extra time. They are only getting their 30 seconds per move, and Jungmin has a lot of that time. So after king e8, king d6 takes, and you have to take here with the e pawn. Now king f8 would be made if this wasn't a thing. So for example, this check here and this wins. So maybe that's a win, no? After takes, if you go king f8, just moving the rook to a square. I have a hiccup coming. Threatening checkmate. And you can't go to this side either, because that's also a checkmate. Then black has to do something different, like put the bishop here. But once again, threatening checkmate and king d8, then you're losing this pawn on f7. So king d6 is probably just winning. And I'm saying just winning. But I don't see. Check, check, here. You can't do this. This seems very much forced. But he didn't play it. Which is why I'm a bit confused. He went rook a8 here, rook d8 here. Ah, okay. Okay. He gave the check on d8 instead. Of course, he's also very good at counting. This is the third time he's been counting this game. Rook d8 check, king c7 was forced, and after rook f8, there was no way to protect this pawn here on f7. The king went back to d7, a check arrived, king e8, and this should be getting easier. Let's say a check here, bishop moves, and king in. This one would fail somehow. I have a feeling king d6 was a win. A bit quicker. A bit quicker win than this one. We also talked earlier about how he didn't trade the knight on e7. Don't know if that was quicker also. Not sure. Okay, let's go back to the other game. We had a few developments. We saw it here after queen e6, queen f4, queen d5. White just improving the pieces here. Bishop c4. This was a pin. The pin goes the other way. Oops, here we go. So black wouldn't be able to win a pawn here. Simply just not allowed. Not even this, because it's still a pin. Wouldn't be very good. So bishop c4, king d7, and now white went bishop d5. I like that move because takes, then the knight joins the game as the knight joins the game as well, and this looks very, very dangerous indeed. So bishop d5, and now black has to make a move. Does white have a threat though? Because let's say you try to create counterplay. We push. Then what is white's idea otherwise? Trading bishops, very dangerous. Well, trading bishops and queens, very dangerous. Not necessarily trading the bishops. And this is a bit too much of the good stuff. Probably. Takes would be very, very nice. But I don't believe this is... I don't believe this is advisable. Oh, wait, you actually make it in time. You do make it in time. Okay, but still here in this position, to check. I just don't like the h-pawn. I don't like the h-pawn. So knight b5, a bit too much of the good stuff. Instead, after bishop d5, queen g8. Oh, it was black to move. King d7. Oh, it was black to move. How did I get knight b5 on the board? Oh, I said h5. Okay. He played queen g8 instead. Bishop e6, queen e6, and queen d4. I want to create counterplay. How much time do they have? Oh, they do not have a lot of time. They do not have a lot of time here. Oh, so this is intense though. This is very, very intense. So Hugo needs to knight b5, queen takes g2 was a problem. Queen g2 check. Yeah, but it was in the h5 variation with the queen on f7, so there wasn't any check. Black went king e7. He's really just refusing to move the h-pawn. Much easier to play with white, of course. But I just feel that maybe you should try to create some counterplay. Now we're not even seeing the time. Does this mean that the game is over? King d7, I think the game would end pretty quickly after queen a7 probably. Oh, king f7, queen a7 is played. Oh, we don't see the times. We don't see the times. Oh, now we see them again. Great. Phew. No, I feel this should end quickly now. Because the white pieces there are too active. Where does the king go? King g6, knight f4. Problem. Problem, problem, problem. And king goes back. King goes back. King goes back. Here? No. My point was this. But to get the knight. But there's this. King f8. King f8 is played. So how do you finish? Ah! Queen e3. So maybe this is a move. But I don't see where the knight is going after. Let's say queen c8. And then king moves. And queen c5. Oh, queen c5. And problem. Because here, check. Queen b8, check was played instead. Okay, many variations, little time on the clock. King has to move again. He's probably just trying to bring the king closer. And if this, I guess this as well. But now maybe the king can... Oh, still not this. Now maybe the king can run to h6. And it's not so clear now. So after king g7, do you really give a check on c7? Or do you try to do this? Because now this one is actually hanging. So the queen has to find another square. This, once again, not advisable. He played with knight c... Oh. Aha, he didn't go to g7. Knight c8 was played. Okay. But now you have to keep on defending the knight on c8. So let's say, firstly this is a check, but I'm not sure it's doing much. So let's say you go here. And you can only really protect from here. Aha, knight b6, queen b6, queen here. Usually you prefer to not go into queen endgames, because the drawing tendency, or at least the practical chances in queen endgames, they improve quite a lot, because there's just always you are winning f5, but you are losing e3 also, and there are so many chances for perpetual check. Did I see Magnus OTB on the Norwegian chess channel on Twitch? No, I did not. He did play queen b4. It could also just be playing some checks to put his opponent under pressure, say you don't have a lot of time, maybe you will blunder. Because we have seen quite a few variations that were winning for white here. King g7 was played. Queen b7? Not sure. Not sure. Let's let him make a few more checks while we go back to this game. We saw it here. The rook went to g7. Now trying to chase the bishop away. King is forced to the back rank. Was it some kind of repetition? Okay, so here, in this position, Min Seo, he decided to go king f7. But, oops. Here he decided... Oh, wait, what? I don't have... Ah! So sorry, this is confusing. Okay. King f7, check, king f8, here, bishop h3. Yeah. Check, here, bishop h6, trying to get the rook to g7. Rook g8. Now king has to go here, only move. Check, here, this one is not hanging. Could black take on f6 and go king f7? Okay, No problem. Oh wait. He gave the check on g7, king e8, rook g3. Is there some studies done on how getting continuously checked in endgames increases chances of blundering? I don't think you're gonna see studies on precisely this subject. Isn't there rook takes f5 at some point? I'm not sure there's rook takes f5. Oh, because the knight here would be hanging. Okay, so yeah, he is trying to threaten it. We can. Now it's checkmate if he gets rook f8. So let's say the bishop moves now. This is checkmate. So black is actually forced to move the knight because king d8, then you could take, and the knight on d5 would be hanging. So black is forced to move the knight. And where does the knight go? Knight e7 doesn't looks, I don't know, maybe knight e7. Let's see. I just want to go quickly back to this game. Some checks were given. Now the knight finally came to f4, knight e7, and this is the current position. Okay. E4. Oh my goodness. Game is developing. White should win. But they don't have much time, and when you don't have much time, everything can happen. Okay, so now the good thing for Jung-Min Seo here is that he has a lot of time to figure out where that knight is going. Okay, as she said it. I have the feeling that Jung-Min, he wants to play quickly because he doesn't want to allow his opponent to think and find some way to win the game. He wants to take advantage of the fact that Vignir, he doesn't have a lot of time. But Vignir, he has a finite amount of time now. He's saved up to almost 5 minutes. And yeah, he is threatening. He might be threatening a check here and picking up the pawn on e5. So sorry. Not even coffee can help me. Okay. So knight b6. Now Vignir doesn't have a lot of time to find out how he wants to meet this knight move. What can you do? So this rook b3, knight c5, knight c4, sorry, king somewhere. King c7, knight e5. This is probably a draw then. I don't see how this should be winning for white. And the same if the king goes somewhere else. So Vignir, he tried to meet this threat by going king c5, but knight d7. Now he either has to go to d4 or d6. If he goes to d6, then black can repeat with knight b6. And then either he has to find a new move or he has to find his way to the d4 square. But this doesn't feel like progress to me because he can still, now Jung-Min can still go this way and try to look at the square if this and this. So I don't know if Jung-Min is trying to find some great defense here. Or if he is finding some great defense. The white king did go to d4. So is he repeating with knight b6? Is he going king e7? Is he trying to put his king on f7 and escape through this way so that his king doesn't get trapped on the back rank anymore? Don't know. But he's certainly pressuring his opponent on the clock. And yeah, don't know what's going to happen. So in this game, e4 was played. Fe4, queen b5, king a2, queen a6. And here, no more checks. Cannot force a queen trade because of e5. I have a hiccup. Sorry, I need water. Ay, ay, ay. I don't even know how to drink water. Okay, great. Never mind that. E5 would be a move. Here they are also playing with a minimum amount of time. You know what? I have an idea. I'm such a genius sometimes. I am such a genius sometimes. Okay, give me a second. I might be a little bit slow, but it's gonna happen when I just find out how to click the correct things. What's the thing called? Correct buttons. There we go. New. Capture. What? Okay, I could have done this while you could see. Ah, was this the wrong one? Oh no, this was wrong. Oops. No, maybe this was right. Okay, let me try. No. This was wrong. Yep, this was wrong. Give me a second. Oh, sorry. Okay, nope, this was wrong. This was wrong. See, you can feel that it's been a lot of time since I streamed. But I can do this very quickly. This is right game. Is it? Nope, wrong game. Wrong game. Oh, there's no difference. Great. Give me a second. I'm trying really hard. What? This is not making any sense to me. I don't understand. What am I doing wrong? I can do this. I'm getting stubborn. I'm getting very stubborn now. Getting stubborn. No! The top one! There we go. Wait, never mind. Okay. Okay. No! There we go. Now I'm Friederike Nilsson, I hope that's okay. Well, I had to open a completely new browser. It's not in light mode on purpose. Okay, now we have 2 games that we can watch at the same time. I hope this is not confusing. It shouldn't be. Woo! That didn't take all the time in the world. Technical genius. Okay, yeah, I know. I know. Technical genius always. Let's see. I think Jakub should be winning soon. He didn't want to go for e7. Here, he didn't want to go for e7. Because queen f6. King moves. Here, queen. What? You don't have to take the knight when you go e7. Why didn't he go for this then? e7. You're threatening either to take a queen On f8 or on e8? So it should be because there's some perpetual check. Here you are getting perpeted. But it's so far-fetched to think that there should be a perpetual check here. As long as you don't lose the knight with check, I mean. Okay, let's say you go here instead, so this is not hanging. Probably e7. Sometimes you can forget that this pawn doesn't have to take a piece. Queen g5, knight g6, knight takes, check. King moves, and then he's gonna play e7. And then he will look out for any perpetual checks, I guess. So yeah. Whoops, where did it go? Oh, it's here. Okay. So should win. Of course, Twitch chat is too strong for me. This is what I keep on saying. No need for heroics. Yeah. And this. Check here, checkmate. Okay. So all of this was actually forced, yeah? And then after king g7 or king h7 or whatever, then a check here will come and you're not in time to pick up the pawn. And if you want to be in time, you can't go to f7 because the pawn is protecting the square. So queen d8, winning the game. Yes. Well done, actually. That was a very nice find, especially when you're low on time. We can see here that Jakub only has 1 minute 40. So that was great. And we do see resignation from Hugo. So this means a win. A win, a win, a win. A win is a win is a win. Let's just get back to this one, shall we? And then we will take this game where they are still playing. Jung-min, a lot of time on the clock, of course. And Vignir still trying to find a way through this. See, I said fortress wasn't possible. But maybe Jung-min is working wonders with this position. Yeah, Har, I know that feeling, but we just play to get better and we try to enjoy chess. Of course, sometimes it can hurt so much. Sometimes it can hurt so much, but this is also why we love chess, because if it didn't hurt, then there wouldn't be anything great from the victories. So you have to take the pleasure with the pain. If there weren't any pain, then there wouldn't be any pleasure either. So they are playing. Something Vignir should be careful about is that he not suddenly falls into he's not going to fall into a threefold when the bishop can be in all sorts of different squares probably. But what is the position? What do we think? I mean, okay, you don't do like this when you're black. You don't trade. You're trying to use the knight to hold the fortress. Bishop e3. I will guess that he'll go here and the king moves, he'll go back, king d6. If knight goes, I don't know. I think we should just sit and wait, because it's very tough to say anything about the position. To give concrete lines. Unless there is somewhere where we can say, okay, now we know that black is winning. Now we know that white is winning and that black made a mistake. But I can see a mistake right ahead. Bishop e4 was played. Okay, so didn't move the knight, attacked the rook. Rook f6. No? Oh! Woo! It's a good thing that I'm not the one playing, because I'm falling for these cheap tricks over and over again. So of course Vignir was more clever than I was. He played rook h3. Okay, player, I disagree. Does the bishop go back? Back it up, then a check. Here, bringing in the bishy-bish, maybe? Maybe going here. I'm falling for these tricks. Again and again and again. That knight is just tricky. Oh my goodness. Knights are tricky, not only in Blitz, also in classical chess. If only we could have traded it 20 moves ago. True. Might have been easier, because I'm not sure if this is still a win. And Jung-min has so much time to think about it. You would love Chess 960 classical OTB tournaments. Oh my goodness. The problem with that is you can't really allow people to prepare, because some Chess 960 positions are really bad for black. And if people would be allowed to prepare the specific position, they could get an incredible opening. And they could have a big advantage being white, actually. So you can't allow people to prepare in Chess 960, really. Only Arbiter knows? Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting discussion and something interesting to think about for sure. Classical OTB 960 tournaments. That's something. Okay, why did Jung-min's clock stop? Oh, because they made moves, it just didn't update. So here, it's because these moves actually happened on the board. Okay, I'm calling it. I just don't think that he'll play rook d8 like I did here. My guess is something more along the lines of bishop c5. How many positions are there that are bad for black? I think more than 5. More than 5. And my camera is going a little bit out of focus again. So let's fix that. There we go. Fixed. He played king d6. There we go. And now it should auto update. King d6. Oh my god, my cam is out of focus. What? Let's go. Ooh. I fixed it. This must be one of the first times of my life where I've managed to fix it. So knight d5, bishop is attacked. We're actually getting not close to a threefold. But it wouldn't surprise me if we're getting nearer some position that they had before. Okay, maybe not with the bishop on d4. I can inform you they've played 105 moves. This is actually important. When was the last pawn move? Okay. So the pawn was taken on move 77. That means, now I have to be real quick with my maths here. They have until move 127. 127, yes. Before Jung-min, he'd be able to claim a draw. And they're on move 105 now. So that means Vignir only has 22 moves left if he wants to do something. So Jung-min really putting up some resistance here. 50 move rule. That is another drawing mechanism that you can have. I don't know if you've heard of the 50 move rule game, but if you haven't, then I can tell you that I know the people who invented it. Just saying. King g7, rook h1. I don't know what to say more about this position. I think black is holding on really well. And I think he's gonna get the draw. And I think Vignir will be very, very upset with himself. because this is not only a half point. Firstly, this is a half point with white. And people are a level chat. We might not care much about whether we play white or black, but here they actually do care quite a bit. And secondly, it's also for the tying for first place in the tournament. If Vignir he won here, then there would be 2 people and 5 points. Well. This is an important game for Vignir. This is the 6th round, and there are 9 rounds in total. I will also be doing commentary of the full final round. So on Wednesday at 5 p.m. CEST. Nope, that is not true. I am sorry. On Wednesday at 6 p.m. CEST. Nope, that is not true either. So sorry. Let's scroll back. Okay. I will be doing commentary of the full last round, the 9th round, which starts on Wednesday at 4 p.m. CEST. And it will be a lot of fun. I believe there will be so much excitement for us to follow there, for sure. I think that's the right time and the right day. It is on Wednesday. Let me check, just to make sure that I haven't messed up. Just to be sure. Give me a second. Yes! On Wednesday at 4 p.m. CEST, that is when I will be streaming the 9th round. No, I will not be streaming or doing commentary tomorrow. Neither the 7th or the 8th round. It will be the 9th round. I unfortunately do not have time tomorrow. So yeah. So Vignir, buddy, you have 20 moves left. Bishop takes e7 earlier was winning. Shall we check? Oops, sorry. Let's check if bishop takes e7 earlier was winning. Oh, not this position. Computer says +5 after bishop takes e7. So, yeah, I believe bishop takes e7 was winning. Which was also the, oops, sorry, once again, which was also the conclusion that we reached. Oops. Yeah, I think it's a draw. The engine and I just clicked a few times. That probably looked really weird. They did not play that fast. I think it's a draw. I think it's a fortress. So, Akien, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I haven't said that in a long time. It feels weird to say it again. But yeah, I don't know. And Jungmin is thinking. For the first time in this endgame in a long time, he has been thinking about what move to make. Does this mean that Vignir has a serious threat here? Maybe Vignir actually has almost a serious threat in something like this, and then if he could force some... No, I don't know. I don't know. I also don't know how long I should be sitting here looking at this position that they are playing. Rook a6 and cut off the black king first. Yeah, no, it's 4 p.m. CEST. Sorry. 4 p.m. We've looked a bit at this cutting off the black king, but we haven't really been able to make anything work. It's... yeah. And Jungmin really... 5 p.m. according to Chess24. It's because in Denmark. Nope. 4 p.m. CET? It might be 4 p.m. CET, not CEST. CET. Knight d7 was played. Maybe rook a1? Maybe. It's because in Denmark we took the clocks back 1 hour. Oh! Did they do this in Sweden? Because otherwise I have to talk to the organizers to make sure that we're not gonna miss something. Oh, chat, thank you. It's good that I said it wrong a lot of times, because then we were actually talking about it. Okay, it's the same time in Sweden. Great. Okay. Then there are no problems. No problemos. Everything good. Knight g6. I think I will actually round up the stream here, because they do have another 20 moves and they could be playing this for quite a long time. I think Jungmin will hold this a draw. Vignir hasn't really made any progress the last 30 moves, and it doesn't seem like there is any progress to be made. Very, very well held by Jungmin for sure. I was positive that Vignir was gonna take this one home actually, but not this time around. It wasn't coming home for Vignir. I think that is what my guess will be. So we will round up the stream here. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Did I say Jongjun? I meant Jungmin. I get so confused. Today we are rating Fiona. Fiona, she is the one who usually does commentary of this Uppsala Young Champions, but this time around she didn't have any time. She's having a celebration stream for Merpant, who won the World Amateur Under 2000 Championships for women. So go ahead and congratulate her. And I hope to see you on Wednesday, 4 p.m. CET, for the final round commentary of this Uppsala Young Champions. Very, very strong tournament in Uppsala, Sweden. And I will see you. Bye-bye.